Imagine a user signing up to your website, but instead of entering a real email address, they type hello123, or they leave the password field completely empty, or even worse, they submit the entire form without filling anything in it. That's where validation comes in. Validation is the process of checking user input before saving it into database, and if something is wrong, the application sends an error message back to the user so they can fix it. So now that we have understand what is a validation, it's time to create a validation for our products data. So for that, let's go to inside our products controller, and in the store method in here, before saving the data to our database, first we will check that if data is correct. Then if it's correct, then we will save it in our database. So let's create our validation. In the top of this, we will type request validate. Then after that, inside this validate function, I will open an array, and inside this array I will write my validation. So the first column that I want to check is the brand ID. Now for the brand ID, I'm storing the ID of brands. So when the data comes, I have to check data should be required and it should exist in my brands table. So for that, I will type brand ID, the same thing I wrote in here. Then for the validations, I can type my set of rules. So the first rule should be required for each product we needed. Then after that, in here we have two options: either pass write our validations inside the array, or write it as a string like this. Both methods are fine, so you can do any way. Then for the second rule, I will say that the brand ID that comes from the front end, it should exist inside my brands table. Column is ID. Now every time a user sends a brand ID, if it's null, the validation will fail, and if it's also not exist, maybe the user writes some other data, again it will fail. If both condition pass, then it will move to here. Now let's go and create another validation for our category. The rules for category ID and brand ID both are same, so I will just copy this and paste it here and change the brand ID to category ID. Next is our name. So for the name, I want this field to be required and it should be a string, nothing else. So I can type it as required field, and this field should be a string. Even if you want to set that max length of the string, you can do that also by typing max colon then the value. For example, I want it to be 255 characters. Then after the name we have slug. So the rule for the slug is that it should be unique for each product. So let's type that. Let's type slug. First, it should be nullable. We don't need always, so I will say it should be nullable. If it's not nullable, then it should be a string with max character of 255, and finally this should be unique, and the unique needs a parameter, the table and the column. So for the table, the first parameter for the table, I will pass the products table, and for the column I will pass the slug column to check inside our products table slug column, and it should be unique. Now let's move to another rule. Okay, we have the regular price. So for the regular price, we need this column to be a number and the minimum amount should be 0. So let's type that. Let's type, sorry, regular price. Then first of all, it is a required field. Then we will say it should be numeric, and finally the minimum amount that a user can pass is 0. Then after that we have the sale price. The sale price can be null, so nullable. So let's copy paste it here and set it to nullable. Then after that, if it's not null, then check it should be numeric, and again the minimum value for this should be 0. Then after that we have the SKU. So for the SKU, I will say it should be nullable. If it's not null, then it should be a string with a max character of 255. Then after that we have the stock quantity. So let's add our stock quantity in here. Now for the stock quantity, I want this to be an fixed number. For example, for the regular price and sale price, we say that it should be a numeric. The numeric can also be a decimal number, for example this number, or a whole number, or any number that in the decimal it will accept. But for the stock quantity, we want a number, fixed number. For example, we want it to be 10, 20, 30, something like this. Not, we don't want any decimal number. So that for that, instead of using the numeric validation, I am going to use the integer validation. This will check that it should be a number, but it should not be a decimal number or any other number. So let's make this also minimum character also, sorry, main value also as a 0, and make it nullable. So let's type nullable. The reason that I write the nullable or required at the beginning of the validation, that it will check if it's required, then continue, and if it's nullable, pass. Otherwise, if it's not, the value is not null, then check these validations. Next, after that we have the stock status. So in stock status, either it will be in stock or it will be out of stock. So for that, let's write our validation. Let's type stock status and set it to required, and it should be string. Then now in this validation, I will specify that it only should be either in stock and out of stock. So for that we have another validation, which is in. Then we will pass our strings, which is in stock and out of stock. Okay, after that we have featured. So for the feature, it will be, again it will be either it will be yes or it will be no. So let's copy this and paste it here. Let's copy and paste, then change this to featured required string and in yes and no. Okay, now let's go what we have after the feature. We have the short description. Now the short description can be null and it also can be an string, so we will not type any other things. Description, it is nullable, and if it's not null, then it should be string. Then after that we have the status. So for the status, it's same as stock status. Let's copy and paste it here, change it to status, and it should be required and string, and it should only be draft, active, and inactive. That's it. Now finally, after all these validations, we have an image also, thumbnail and image also. So our thumbnail is a single file. So let's first of all, let's create a validation for this. Then after that, we will create a validation for our images, which is an array. So let's go, and for the thumbnail, we will type, it can be nullable, and if it's not nullable, in that case it should be an image with the type of memes. For the type, JPEG, PNG, GPG, GIF, and finally WebP. Let's set a max size as well. So let's type the max size should be 2 MB. So in here we will type it as a KB, and 248 is a 2 megabyte. Okay, time for our images. Now in the images, we require the images to be an array, because the user can upload multiple images of the product at one time. So we are going to type a array validation. So for that, let's go inside our validation, request validation. In here, let's say the images can be nullable, and if it's not null, then it should be an array. That's it. Now it will check that is the images array or not. Then if you want, you can write a specific validation for each image inside that array. So for that, you can type images dot star. This will check all the images or text inside an array. So we will say for each images, apply this validation. It should be an image. Then the image type should be these things. Let's copy it from here and paste it here. Then again, same as thumbnail, the max size of each image should be 2 MB. That's it. Our validation is ready. Now let's save everything. Let's go to the browser. Okay, let's add a new product. Okay, first of all, simply we will just click the save product. Okay, as you guys can see, nothing has happened. We got redirected back to our page. So it means that our validation logic have worked successfully. Now in the next part, we will see how to display the validation messages.